Hello, Iris J here with Madrona's Pulse Teachings, Astrology for Healing. I hope this finds you doing as well as you can be doing in the moment that you're watching this. I am going to chat with you about one of my favorite energies, Pluto. Pluto is changing gears. By the time that you're watching this, Pluto will be at the 28th degree of Capricorn. Pluto's direct. I want to check in around Pluto energy because I don't think we can check in enough around Pluto energy. And because Pluto is definitely part of the collective energies that we are living in right now, in the turmoil that is present in so many parts of the world. And maybe also thinking about what Pluto is working with us on can help us get a little perspective potentially. At least it can in our own individual lives and the rhythms that we're working with and changing with. So that's what I'm going to do, okay? Because Pluto right now, if you're new to astrology, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. It really helps us smaller channels get out and do our thing. But if you're new to astrology, Pluto is, as we know, one of the farthest out objects that we work with. And archetypally, because this is archetypal astrology and evolutionary astrology, Pluto represents soul energy, soul drive energy, transformation, evolution, death and rebirth cycles. And it moves very slowly, and it has energy that represents both kind of in our chart. It identifies the generation group that we're part of as a soul group, and then it very specifically speaks to our own soul journey and what we're here to heal and what we're here to transform in our natal chart. And so right now we're talking about transiting Pluto. And we're in a major shift with Pluto. Pluto is getting ready to shift into Aquarius. It's already touched up into Aquarius. Then it went retrograde, station direct. It's going direct now during the final 2 degrees of Capricorn. And that's why I'm making this, because on October 31st, Halloween, Pluto moved to the 28th degree of Capricorn. And so we are in this major tectonic plate shifting in our psyche, in the cosmos, and the collective web that we are all part of. This major shifting of energies, because Pluto represents that kind of soul drive. When Pluto switches signs, it's a very significant shift for humanity and for us individually. We're always interconnected, individuals, the collective. This is going to be a theme of Pluto coming into Aquarius. And most likely we are feeling a push and pull, a stop and go, a breakdown. And this is the thing about Pluto. Pluto is moving through the final degrees of Capricorn. What's Capricorn about in the collective? It's about literally the boundary between what is known and unknown. It is about boundaries in general. Capricorn is earth energy. Earth energy takes us into boundaries for our own body, boundaries for physicality, boundaries for the literal boundary line between what we can know with these human minds and what is unknown. Unknown does not mean unexperienced. We can understand what is beyond through experiential and other ways of making sense. This is what Uranus and Neptune are about, and Pluto, but known in terms of the way that we construct society and our lives. And so those boundaries are changing. Those boundaries of how humanity has constructed different boundaries, because different cultures have different expressions of what it means to be human, of how we have constructed societies around boundaries between what is known are changing and they're breaking down. And so especially in Western culture, you know, ideas of power, which are about Pluto as well, and the way that power has been held and organized in society is breaking down. And as Pluto moves into Aquarius, it is asking us to create new social organization. And this is going to be a 20-year journey of Pluto through Aquarius, new social organization around power, new boundaries that have kind of gone beyond the Capricorn understanding, new uses of technology. We need to be careful that we don't just say, oh, Aquarius is a technology and every single thing that happens technology is wonderful. Okay, I see a lot of that on social media. No, Pluto moving through Aquarius means that we become mindful, and that ideally what we're doing with technology is creating more just societies and more equitable societies. Whereas the Capricorn organization of power has really been about a few people with power. And this is just not Pluto being in Capricorn. This is our, you know, the thing about Pluto moving through Capricorn is that that becomes an opportunity for us to become more aware of how for thousands of years we have structured our society. And because Capricorn is the energy through which we make social structures. And Pluto came into Capricorn in 2008, and it started breaking down some of that. And we've been on this journey of those social structures breaking down so that we can become more conscious of what collectively has been unconscious. And so these last 2 degrees of Pluto moving through Capricorn are really significant. And in some ways, we could also experience a bit of a release, actually, because what's going to happen is Pluto's going to keep moving direct. I got all my dates here. Pluto's going to keep moving direct. And then it's going to move through the 28th and the 29th degree of Capricorn. And then in January 2024, it's going to move into Aquarius. It's going to keep moving direct. Then it's going to station retrograde in Aquarius in May 2024. It's going to start going back. And it's going to pop back into the 29th degree of Capricorn in September 2024. It's going to keep going back. It's going to go back to 29 degrees and 38 minutes in October. It's going to station direct. It's going to move forward. And then November 19th, 2024, it enters Aquarius. And never in this body lifetime will we ever experience Pluto and Capricorn again. So we have a year. We have roughly a year of these energies shifting in what could be very expansive and also tumultuous ways. Because, and this is, I do think it's important when we're using astrology as this tool of meaning making that it is, and archetypally, and again, this is also part of, I am not a traditional astrologer. I work with traditional astrology. I work with it. I find a lot of meaning. I have a lot of respect, but I am an evolutionary astrologer, which means that I fully believe that the archetypes evolve. As our consciousness evolves, we understand them differently. We co-create with the universe. So I do not work with planets that are out to get us. I do not work with planets that are inherently bad or negative. I myself view that as a way of making meaning that is a direct outcome of patriarchy and imperialism, because that's the binary of good and bad that creates a structure of these people are better and these people have more power. And that is patriarchy and colonialism. And those ways of seeing merge into all of human structures of meaning making. And so in evolutionary astrology, we don't work with kind of just certain planets being good or bad. So I'm saying this because Pluto's drive is to transform. That's it. Transform. And so if us sweet humans are resisting strongly, consciously, the energy of transformation, which is an organic drive, because this is not just about me, Iris, this woman. It's not just about this group of people. When we're talking about astrology in these collective ways, we're talking about an interconnected web of energy that is also all that is. And this web of energy is evolving and is driving and is shifting. And so if all of this energy is shifting and we have resistance to the shift, that's when Pluto or a planet like Saturn or Uranus, things break down. Sometimes rapidly, sometimes in a cataclysmic breakdown, so that eventually new structure can form. Literally, Pluto and Capricorn breaking things down so that new structures can form, most likely breaking down those structures so that those new structures that do form are relating to the Pluto and Aquarius energy, which is about, in its purest sense, collective evolution, justice making, in its negative sense, running wild with a sense of individualism that thinks it's separate than the whole, even though the drive of Aquarius is to evolve for the whole. So I think it's important that we say that just because Pluto's in Aquarius, we're not just going to see like justice evolve. We're going to see a ton of resistance to it. But this last year of Pluto moving through Capricorn is about those structures breaking down. And now I really invite you to think about your own life, your own, all of us, especially in Western culture, grow up in ideas of power over, ideas that success comes from having more money or having more social status. This is the way that celebrity culture actually evolved out of a meticulously crafted media culture that was trying to gain more profit, and it worked. And now we have the cult of celebrity, which is all about distancing and creating a gap that actually keeps people disempowered. And so that wants to break down. And as it breaks down, it wants to create opportunity for us to feel different experiences of power that actually come more from the subtle understanding of that boundary between what is known and unknown. As that boundary shifts, as our individual consciousness and embodied awareness grows, then we can have different boundaries, and we can treat ourselves differently and better, and we can treat others equally, and we can actually release ideas of superiority or elitism, and we can create more just cultures that also view the environment as equally deserving of care and love and justice. And so these shifts are big. They're big. We're at like such an incredible time in humanity. What a time to be human, and every one of our lives matters in its ripple effect and in the way that like this energy is paradigm changing energy. And so to get to why I'm making this video for you all, Pluto's at 28 degrees now. It is going to go forward, right? And then it's going to come back next year, but it's never going to come back through the 28th degree again. It's going to go back to the 29th degree. So as we move forward, this is territory that we can hope we're actually seeing some of the building on top of what Pluto has broken down. And it might feel swift. It might also feel in our personal life. Pluto is also a planet archetype energy that is grief, right? I mean, it's death and rebirth. Like, you don't get there without grief. So also just being aware that as we're feeling grief, whether that's eco grief, which comes from the destruction of the environment and the way that some of us feel that in our own experience of grief and in our body, grief that can be before that, as Joanna Macy says, that that in order for things to change, she says, humans actually have to feel the pain of the earth. Grief for so many people that are suffering right now, and for the intergenerational suffering that violence creates, and the cycles of violence that humans refuse to stop. And so amidst this grief, there can also be growth. There can also be feeling in our own psyche things that we have been taught, whether it's about power or identity or what success is about or what career is about. That's also something that involves Capricorn, and like career is shifting. There used to be an idea that someone has one career for their life, and now it's very common to have several, maybe moving even into ideas of vocation, rather, which is a calling and a soul calling, which can also shift, but it's driven by the soul rather than ideas of success and building status and climbing a social ladder, right? And these, again, are collective shifts that we can all feel into. And as we feel into that, growth, evolution, and it can happen rapidly. And this is especially true if you have placements. Okay, if you have a placement at 28 degrees, this is huge, because this is the last of it. Welcome to the end of your Pluto transit. And this is if you have 28 degrees of Capricorn, or opposite there in Cancer, or if you have a square with Libra or Aries. Remember that square, this Pluto has been squaring the nodes. And as Pluto goes direct and the nodes keep going in their direction, that square is dissolving. And so we'll also hopefully see a release of tension from that. But that square was big, and we all know that it was big in our own lives during eclipse season and also in the world. So if you have anything at the 28th degree, you're moving through the final end. If you have something at the 29th degree of Capricorn, you will have one last Pluto interaction in that 29th degree next year. But you're also, I mean, you're going to be in it for a little while if you got the 29th until maybe February, depends where it is, but it's going to move into Aquarius, and then it's going to start moving away from that 29th degree, but we're still in the final stages, okay? And also, I say this to my clients, that if you do have something at the 29th degree, or if you're right there at 0 into 1 degree of Aquarius, you're going through a Pluto transit. Personally, something is being broken down. This depends upon your chart. But keep in mind that whatever's breaking down is about you also having some role to play in the collective energies that are transforming. It's kind of exciting, right? Because we are all part of it. So these are the major shifts that we're working with as Pluto is shifting. Also, if you have one of those Pluto transits going on, Pluto transits can require rest, so just taking care. I think everybody, though, self-care right now, really nourishing the body with whatever nourishment means to your body can be really important right now, especially when that grief I was talking about is rising. And I'm going to leave it there. Thank you, as always, for those that are still with me, which is not the majority. So I thank you because you're still listening, and be well.